Today, we're going to jump right into the core ideas from Larry Ovi's spiritual book, Too Afraid of Light, and really break down its central framework for understanding the world. So, the book kicks off with this really powerful and honestly provocative statement. After looking into why good people so often face setbacks, the author comes to this one stark conclusion. The world is fundamentally too afraid of light. And that's not just a catchy title, you guys. It's the core idea that holds up this entire way of thinking we're about to explore. You see, this isn't just some vague, abstract, good versus evil stuff. The book frames this as a very real, very active conflict. It talks about light and darkness as these tangible forces that are always in a tug of war, shaping everything from global politics right down to the little choices we make in our own lives every single day. Okay, so to get our heads around this, we're going to follow the book's structure and break it down into 5 key parts. We'll start by defining the world of light and understanding darkness. Then we'll look for the evidence of light, figure out how to push back the dark, and finally get to the heart of what it means to become a light bearer. So, first things first. Before we can even talk about the solution, we've got to really understand the problem as the author sees it. What exactly is this force of darkness? So how does the book define darkness? Well, it's not just the absence of something good, like a shadow is just the absence of light. No, it's presented as an active, almost conscious force, a power that is actively working against progress and pulling things toward what the author calls the wrong side of life. And this isn't just theory, right? The author argues that this force shows up in very real, very tangible ways. On a personal level, it can pop up as fear or self-doubt or a crippling inferiority complex. But it also scales way up, showing up as huge societal problems like bribery, corruption, and intolerance. The book draws a straight line from our inner world to these big external issues. And this is where the book introduces a really key concept to explain those systemic problems: cabals. These are described as these powerful, organized groups that act as a direct expression of darkness, intentionally hijacking resources and causing widespread suffering and stagnation, all for their own benefit. All right, so let's flip the coin and look at the other side of this conflict. If that's darkness, then what is light? And what does the evidence for it actually look like? The book presents light in 2 ways that are totally interconnected. On one hand, yes, it's embodied by a divine figure, Jesus. But, and this is just as important, it's also seen in concrete human actions. Basically, anything we do that actively works to make life better for the people around us. And here's where we see the proof, the tangible evidence of that light at work. The book lists qualities like hope, kindness, and integrity. And it argues that these aren't just passive feelings. They are active expressions of a force pushing back against darkness. According to the author, these are the very things our struggling world desperately needs. This quote right here really gets to the core of the book's message about our own potential. It's making a pretty bold claim that your success, your impact on the world, it's directly tied to the strength and brightness of your inner light. Okay, so the book has defined the forces. Now it shifts gears and gets into how an individual, what it calls a light bearer, can actually get in the ring and engage in this conflict. This is really the practical how-to part of the whole philosophy. Which, of course, brings us to the big practical question the book is trying to answer. It's one thing to know these forces exist, but the goal is to actively fight back. So, how do you actually do that? I love this chart because it just lays the whole conflict out so clearly. On the left, you've got the traits of darkness, things like egocentrism, fear, lies. And on the right, they're direct opposites in the world of light: empathy, boldness, and truth. The book basically frames this battle as the daily, conscious choice we all have to make between these 2 columns. So how do you actively choose light? The author gives us a pretty clear 4-step strategy. It starts with determination. You got to have a firm purpose. Then it's about the mental battle, saying that our mind is the main arena where this fight happens. But, and this is crucial, it's not a solo fight. Step 3 is relationships, finding your people. And finally, consistency, just realizing this is an ongoing thing, not a one-and-done deal. But the book also gives a heads up. It points out some specific vulnerabilities, arguing that things like depression, loneliness, or just hanging out with the wrong people can literally dim your light, making you less effective in this struggle against darkness. So, to fight back against those things that dim your light, the book offers 3 core practices to stand firm. It says that actively practicing empathy, cultivating patience when things get tough, and consistently showing love, those are the essential tools for keeping your light bright and strong. All right, let's bring it all home. We're moving to the final section to see how all this builds to the book's ultimate purpose. What's the end goal of all this? What's the big takeaway? And this is it. This is the whole point of the book. It's not just about finding some personal peace. The aim is to become a light bearer, or what the author calls a way shower. This is somebody who doesn't just believe differently, but lives differently, actively challenging the status quo and the systems of darkness. The book then gives us a pretty detailed profile of what this light bearer looks like. And just notice how action-oriented all these qualities are. This isn't some passive believer. It's someone with the political will to make change, the discipline to stay on course, and the integrity to actually be a way shower for other people. It's a call to really live it out loud. Ultimately, the book just completely reframes how we should see life's difficulties. Instead of being defeats or signs that we're failing, challenges are presented as the very things that test and strengthen our light. They're actually opportunities to find out just how bright your light can really be. And this is the final, powerful punch. The book ends by turning the question directly to you, to the reader. It's a challenge, really, to think about your own legacy. In the end, it's not just about what you believe, but about the impact your light is going to leave on the world. The book leaves us with this one final question to chew on. What will you be remembered for?